Well, there's been no football, but me and Gonzo are back. Gonzo, no football. Are you missing it? You're into rugby, so you must be distracted with Six Nations and that.
Yeah, but there wasn't. We didn't have a game this last weekend, believe it or not. So West Ham are out the cup, and I had 1 week, and West Ham are not are not in the cup. There's no England rugby game. They had a fucking rest. Excuse me, they had a rest week. I just didn't do well. Did I get into the show? Managed 2 sentences before I swore, so apologies. Yeah. So, but I have missed it. I've particularly with everything else that's been going on. I have really missed the football. I know it's Liverpool up next, and we'll do the review tomorrow, and we'll talk about that then. It's, whatever, a tough game. But I've desperately been wanting football. Yeah, I've missed it more than I've for a while, actually. Normally the international breaks, I quite enjoy the break, but I think because of all the political stuff, I've just wanted to get back to the football, really.
It's probably because we also won before the break. That usually makes a difference as well. You go, normally we've lost 3 in a row, and the break comes, and you think, oh, thank God, I don't have to watch that. But the weekend is a bit empty without West Ham. It doesn't help, I think, when you're watching other teams play, and it's the FA Cup, and you're like, oh, if only we were in this. The magic of the FA Cup's alive, wigging, etc. We're not in it. What did you do over the weekend? Did you do anything over exciting then to compensate?
Go-karting. Thanks for asking. I went go-karting with old friends I've known for 35 years. So when you've got friends that long, you haven't just got one in joke. You got like 35 years worth. Go-karting, crikey, it makes you ache. They were 200cc go-karts. But, I mean, it's really hard work. I've got to be, there's people that do that. I've got to be fit as fiddles. And, yeah, I think I had the slowest car. I think I've got a dud car, actually.
Well, I just watch football. Standard, I just watch the FA Cup. I enjoy the FA Cup, to be fair. Let's talk about West Ham then. Yesterday, Tuesday, come out on Sky Sports, were guilty of breaching a anti-doping charge. When it rains, it pours, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's very little that surprised me about West Ham, but that one did. That one surprised me because I don't think there was such a thing. I always thought just players could be done for it. I never knew a club could be done for it. Not going to claim to know anything at all about it, but for the first reasons, I didn't read any more about it. For the reasons that I said, I'm so sick of all this stuff. I sort of rejected it. I didn't click on the link, but I saw what had happened, roughly. But what it does show is what a mess the administrative side of things is at the club. It's just more of a farce at the club. So whatever went wrong, whether we're guilty or not, it's just more of the same at West Ham. Clearly, something has not been done to whatever doping rules or Premier League rules or whatever it is. We've just done something incorrectly again, and we seem to do everything incorrectly, bidding for players or doping tests or whatever. It's just all nonsense, really.
It's just admin work. It's just the charge relates to the whereabouts of the players, etc. So, and the West Ham statement, I don't know if it was on the official site or they said it somewhere else. They basically implied it could be players moved address and house numbers incorrect when they've updated the thing, and you think, okay, so it's not that big a deal then. But then you're seeing that it's the 3rd time it's happened in the year or something. You think, okay, come on, once is a mistake, twice is just a little bit. 3rd is just embarrassing now. I mean, Bournemouth, to be put into context, Bournemouth and Man City have also been charged with this previously, and they've had fines of like 35,000. It's nothing serious, but it's the social media world these days. Sky put out West Ham found guilty of anti-doping charge or something, and that's it. Everybody retweets it. Nobody actually thinks. They do what you just did. You just said you've seen it and thought, oh, I'm not going to bother clicking that. But if you do click and you actually read it, it's nothing really. It's just something they haven't done the paperwork correctly, and we're going to get a £35,000 fine. There's no repercussions. There's nothing massive, but it's because of what's going on at the minute. It gets blown out of proportion, and it's just more. West Ham are once again the subject of neutral fans. It's just, and we seem to be forever the subject of neutral fans, especially the last 18 to 24 months.
Yeah, it's a headline. If what you say is true, and you've even told me things that I didn't know just then, so you've informed me more about it. The headline is worse than the story itself, but the club don't need any more bad headlines. But I mean, one thing is certainly true, and I will say hand on heart, I'll put my neck on the line here and say West Ham players are not doping, not taking performance-enhancing drugs, because I look at them all fucking falling over after 70 minutes in every game. They're getting muscular injuries here, there, and everywhere, so they're clearly not doping. If they're taking any drugs at all, they're probably recreational drugs. They're probably stones the way they've been running around the pitch. So I think they're probably all right.
They tried to buy performance enhancing ones and bought the cheap option. They've just not worked. They've got it from the same company that does the retractable seating. Yeah, honestly, these are good stuff. I promise you. Last Saturday, we beat Watford, but before that, literally 4 hours before kickoff, David Sullivan's latest statement, it was called a statement, come out, the video. Have you watched it? I've only just watched it, believe it or not. For some reason, I just couldn't be bothered. And then I watched it and I sort of thought I was correct not to really be bothered.
I've seen, I don't think I've seen the whole lot. I think it was quite lengthy. But
7 minutes.
I wasn't, oh, well, there you go. Well, it shows you my attention span, really, doesn't it? But I did see a clip which made me really laugh, and I can't remember the exact words. But he basically said something like, "Look, we've done loads of stuff. We've even put shelves up," which, oh, wow, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. You know, crikey. You know, I mean, look, you know, we want the seats moved forward. We want a director of football. We want whatever the board to resign their positions and all the rest of it. And that's how much his finger is on the pulse. So what they were all going about? They got shelves.
But the best bit for me was when he was talking about the stadium as well. And he says, we have this, when everyone stamps their feet, there's a rumble. It's unique to the Premier League. Dave, mate, that's scaffolding. That's why it's the scaffolding. It's not, that's not good sound. That's the scaffolding trembling underneath everyone's feet. It's quite dangerous. And he's sitting there making on about it. When I seen him do that, I thought, bloody hell, man. I thought, you're actually picking up the scaffolding here. You're actually making on it. This is creating an intimidating atmosphere.
It's like gravity force, isn't it, basically? There's loads of poles holding up some trampolines, which make a lovely boing sound, which is exclusive only to West Ham.
Apart from his foot in mouth moments, which there was a couple there, what did you make of it, the bits you did see? Did you think it was genuine? Did you think he was sort of, someone from the media team said, Dave, mate, sit down and just say something? It was almost like he was half apologising without actually apologising, if that makes sense, by saying, look, we've got some stuff wrong. But from memory, he never actually said sorry or anything like that. So it was sort of
I just think it was strategic. I just think it was countermeasures. That's all it was. It was countermeasures. I think he probably hoped that the dissatisfaction with the board would sort of dissipate. So he got in a bit of a countermeasures or a preemptive strike, if you want. But I wouldn't be convinced that he actually believed anything that he said. I understand he went on to say that he would reshape the scouting and whatever. I don't. I'd like to believe that, and it sort of does beg the question: what were we doing anyway? But I think we all know the answers here, and that was that he had his fingerprints all over it. I also think you can't have it both ways. If he's got his fingers all over everything, how did he not know about the African thing in the email with Tony Henry? So you either are or you aren't. I just don't think you can have things both ways, really. I just think it's going to be really, really hard for somebody that's been in full control of everything, has been boss of everything, boss of his club and boss of his newspaper previously, boss of the previous club, boss of his pornographic empire. It's very hard for somebody like that to actually say, whoa, hold on, hands off here. I'm not going to have any more to do this. I'm going to put a team in place. So I'm not entirely sure I believed what he said.
The problem for me is it felt half-hearted. If you're going to do something, give it 100% and genuinely mean it. Because when you do it half-hearted, especially now, we can all see through it. We can all pick bits in it now. And this is the problem. Whenever he's going to go do something, we're all going to be a bit cynical about it and think, well, what's he really up to here? What is his secret plan? Although he's saying that, but what's he actually meaning? You're right, because when he goes, oh, we're going to be reshaping the transfers, we're going to have new video analysis, new scouting, a manager's going to go see everyone. It's like, you're right, because everybody then goes, so what have we been doing then? This is the worry. We weren't using video analysis and stats, etc. What exactly were we using? Word of mouth, FIFA, Football Manager, your son? Like, what were we actually using? And then he said the manager's going to go, we're not going to buy any players without the manager having a look. But David, you spent the last 18 months telling us the manager picks all the players. And now you're telling us the manager's going to go choose the players. So you can't have it both ways. And the other problem with that video I had is there was a couple of times when the graphic came up to go from one subject to another, his mouth was still open. He was still speaking. So the club have obviously took it and heavily edited it. But what's he said? These types of interviews are supposed to be, in my opinion, genuine, real, passionate, raw, cards on the table, unedited type thing. But it wasn't. It was just another puff piece by the club. And when you see that editing done, you think, well, this has just lost all its credibility altogether. Because if you're going to chop out bits he said, then what has he said that you're not showing us? Has he actually apologised and you've actually stitched up your employer there? Or has he actually said something which contradicts what he's saying? They thought, we better cover his arse here. I don't like it. I don't like that statement. And when I finished it, I'd almost forgot all about it. It took me about a week to watch it, actually. And nobody was speaking about it. When you went on social media after the game and stuff, nobody was speaking about it much. And I thought, well, it can't be that good. Otherwise, everybody would.
We'd had a good performance. I think that would have taken a lot of the sting. It came out just before the game, and we were good in that game, weren't we? So I think that's probably sucked a lot of the life out of it. And he'd have been pleased for that. And the reason that it, at the very least, going on what everything you said, look, we know our he works. We also know our video works. And I just think, at the very least, he would have said, let me see it before it goes out. And I'd imagine he'd have had a look at it and then said, take that, and that out. And that's in the way, crikey, stitch a vlog together every couple of weeks. It's easy enough to take, a scene out, like when, like if Tone's doing something dodgy next to me, picking his nose or something, we cut it out, don't we? We don't put it in. So it's easy enough to do,
Moving on, though, let's moving on to a week's time. A week's time today is the deadline for Company House to have when you go on Company House in a week, you should see the latest accounts from West Ham United. You looking forward to it, or are you just waiting for everybody else to do all the hard part and you're looking forward to reading up people's reports about it?
That one. Yeah. Crikey. Wading my way through figures. Who's it said? Words are beautiful, numbers are ugly, and I'm on that score as well. Reading through it, I think we all know roughly what it's going to say as well, because they've been preparing us for bad news or good news. They've been preparing us for good news, if you know what I mean.
Well, how do you see it? Do you see it as good news or bad news? I mean, they're set to announce record profits and record turnover, but, well, the transfer market doesn't sort of implicate that. There's no correlation there. You'd expect if one goes up, the other one goes up.
Well, yeah, you would, wouldn't you? I think it's good news in terms of it being run as a business. I think that's good news. I think it's bad news in terms of it being a football club where we want new players. Mike did a lovely piece a few weeks ago, and our net spend's gone down since we moved stadiums. So that in itself is a major issue. Every time we do this, we discussed the figures last year. We're actually constantly waiting on next year's because they never, what we really want to be talking about is what's happening now. So we're always sort of dealing with old figures, but this is going to be the first one that really shows the impact of moving to the stadium, and it's going to be, as I say, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be good reading because the figures will look good, but it's going to be uncomfortable because it will beg the question, well, hold on a second, where is this money? And they're going to have to, actually, I was going to say they're going to have to explain it away. They might not explain anything away at all, but it will beg the question, why haven't we done better? Why haven't we spent bigger transfer fees, really? The
problem is, like you just said, they'll point out that those accounts are now a year out of date. So they'll basically say, that was profit a year ago, it was changed since then, etc. To be honest, the net spend, I don't actually have a problem if we make a profit in the transfer window, providing there's sufficient, the transfers are done well. Like if we were to sell or buy players for 10 million in a couple of seasons, sell them for 40 or 50 million because they've done so well, and you reinvest that 30 million of it and go get his replacement, I don't mind that sort of strategy. But that's not the strategy we're seeing. We're seeing our best player, Payet, leave because he'll be in those accounts. Payet's left. We replaced him with Snodgrass. Now, that's not good. But if Payet left and we went and bought Sigurdsson, for example, for slightly cheaper somehow, I wouldn't mind making a £3 million profit because I say, well, that's good business. That's fine. I don't mind it. You've got the player. That's fine. I don't mind it. But we're not seeing either, really. We're not seeing the high net spending. We're not seeing the savvy transfer market dealings, and that's where the issue comes in. But the accounts couldn't be worse timed for the club, probably.
Oh, it's so terrible. It's terrible. It's going to come out the day before the March, which I think is, lose. As I said, I think I said it online. It's going to lose impetus, and it's losing impetus to March as well. And then it's going to get what do they call it? Like an adrenaline shot the day before. It's, people are going to look at that. People are going to get furious. Go, right, that's it. Where's the old flag and banner? And they're going to go and they're going to, it could not be worse. And also the other thing, the wages came out, which I'm sure you probably had down to talk about as well. Well, you crack on, mate. You're leading the one.
Well, I haven't wrote anything. Sure, you can say what you want to say about it.
Yes, I'm sure. We're clear, paradoxically, compared to what we just said, we're clearly spending money on wages, big wages. But it shows again. It goes. It also everything links into each other. So it goes back into what we were saying about Sullivan running as the ship as a sort of, the director of football sort of role. Chicharito is on 140 grand a week. Now, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think actually that does show ambition, but it shows a lack of focus as to where it's spent, because really, Bilic never really fancied him. Moyes is really only playing him because he has to. He clearly didn't fancy him anyway. So it begs the question why we did it. Now, I'm not disputing Chicharito's quality. I wanted to do something on him, even a video just dedicated to him at some point. Anyway, I'm a big fan. But it does show a lack of clarity that we spend that much on the player. And then, of course, you look at some things stand out on that. You look at what? Fonts? What on earth's that all about? 75 grand a week. How has that happened? I think Tottenham, and it's a shame we have to keep on referring to them, but they are a very, very well-run club. They've got a wage structure, and there's some of our wages look embarrassing on theirs. I don't know. I don't know either Viweld or what's his name for Tonga. I bet they're on that sort of money or less. No doubt about it. Okay. I just thought it was a really strange one. You look down and you see poor old Declan Rice on tuppence and a curly whirly, and Queener, who may well turn out to be a fantastic player, absolutely fine. But there's one that's broken into the first team and looks like a real keeper, possibly a future captain. And there's one that hasn't broken into the first team yet, and one of them's getting 8 grand, and the other one's not getting very much really, because particularly in footballer terms.
Yeah, I think it's circumstances. So Rice has been with us from a younger age. With Queen, we're trying to lure him, aren't we? We're trying to get him in. It's a bit like Nathan Hall, and we're trying to get him down from Everton, so he'll be on a little bit more. The problem with our wages, I always think, is you're giving players their last. You're buying players when they're at their peak for wages. Arnautovic and Hernandez, etc. That's the most they'll ever earn in their career. We're the ones giving it to them. Spurs, or Sanchez, for example. The best example you can do is go to Spurs and look at Sanchez. They went and got him. He cost 38 million. Massive outlay. I bet you he's on the same as Mark Noble. He probably won't be on much more than 50 grand a week if he is. He will be on about that because a young lad. He's come from Holland, so he won't be on loads of cash. So 50 grand a week to him is, oh yeah, I'm having that. And to Spurs, you pay the high fee, but you get the low wage. We're doing paying a medium fee, but we're paying a high wage. There's no low about us. Spurs have got it clever, unfortunately. Hopefully, they do actually reshuffle the scouting part of it, and this brings in the savvier purchases a little bit. But we'll wait and see. I was ready to say something. I was ready to speak about Moyes. Part of this thing, Moyes is supposed to be getting control, etc. And it could be coincidence, but since that came out, it came out that David Moyes is now wanting to stay, or he's certainly more open to staying. Do you think it's that if Moyes is staying, he wants the control of the transfer market type thing?
He can make his own demands, can't he? Really. I remember when we were looking to buy Iheanacho and we were complaining about what Man City wanted. And I said, well, Man City are in a position of strength. Do you remember? They can demand what they want for him. But, we have to, if we wanted him, we have to do what they say. I think Moyes is in the biggest position of strength of anyone at the football club at the moment. I think we need stability. I think he's a consistent. I think he shows consistent leadership even without having a PR guy. He's got good PR. He says the right things in. I remember, Paul did a lovely video about him, but I remember when he came in, the difference between him and Allardyce. When Allardyce could barely bring himself to mention the history of West Ham and stuff like that, it almost stuck in the back of his throat. I just think there's so much in terms of how unstable the club is at the moment. I think Moyes looks calm. And I think he's got a backroom team which look calm. Even the things like sending Pierce to go and watch the England rugby training to get new techniques just looks very good in terms of what everything else is going on at the club at the moment. So I think Moyes can do pretty much what he wants, because Sullivan's scrambling, as we saw from that video. He's scrambling. He's desperate for something. And I bet he never thought he'd be in this position, Sullivan. I bet Sullivan thought he'd get to the end and be the one that would make the decision. But actually, he needs Moyes. And I think Moyes knows it. So I think because he is the one in a position of power, he can dictate terms. If part of his terms are, I decide on players, coaching, scouting, then that's the way it's going to be. And do you know what? Even though Moyes wasn't my choice or anything like it, I'd much prefer him running coaching and scouting than David Sullivan.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I remember doing the video with you, and I said when all this is going on with the fans and that, David Moyes just sitting there winning. He's sitting there keeping his mouth shut, just letting the board, etc., and the fans have their little thing, and he's sitting there putting results together, get us up the table. Sullivan, yeah, you're right. Moyes doesn't need West Ham anymore. Moyes can walk away at the end of the season. He'll get another Premier League job. He's rebuilt his reputation. He's done what he needed to do. Sullivan, on the other hand, needs David Moyes because he's never going to go get someone. Nobody's got any confidence in David Sullivan. But Moyes has just seen what's happening in January transfer window. I wouldn't be surprised if Moyes is thinking, you've stitched me up a bit here because I've got no players. He's probably looking at Sullivan thinking, I don't know if I want to work with you now because is this what you're going to deliver me? Then all of a sudden, it's all getting reshuffled about and you think maybe that's what the David Moyes' chip has been. I'll stay, but this is changing and it's changing dramatically. And Sullivan's backed into a corner and said, well, yeah, I'll give you that then. I'll deliver you that. But talking about being backed into a corner, Mr. Sullivan was expected to show up for a meeting on Monday and didn't. What did you think about
that? You were there. What did you think about that?
I was disappointed he didn't show up. We were expecting Mr. Sullivan to turn up to the meeting. When we went in, Karen was there with Tara Warren and Ben Illingworth. The media people were in the corner doing their notes. And the very first question they got asked, sorry, where's Mr. Sullivan? We got told he was unwell. We asked if he would be travelling to the Liverpool game. We got told he would be. So we asked how he could possibly be well enough to go ahead. But anyway, sort of got told, forget it, he's not here, let's move on. It was a long meeting, between 4 and 5 hours long. It was it was a slog for the three people at West Ham. Karen Brady was used as a human shield on Monday. Sullivan and Gold. Now, the thing is, David Gold wasn't expected in the meeting. We weren't expecting David Gold there. But when we asked about David Gold coming, or why he wasn't there to step in for Sullivan, we got Karen Brady said, David Gold didn't know about the meeting. We pointed out this meeting's been arranged since Friday. It's been on social media. David Gold's on social media. Are you telling me someone who is the co-chairman and owns 35% of the football club doesn't know about this meeting? She then said that she spoke to him on the phone about it. So we thought, well, which one is it? But anyway, no one was expecting Gold there, okay? David Gold was not expected at that meeting, but David Sullivan was. He didn't show up. Brady was there. You've been in meetings with Brady before. You know what it's like. She's very, very good, very, very calm, very composed, answers all the questions, just lets you have your say. But Sullivan used Karen Brady as a human shield on Monday. Because I'll tell you what, David Sullivan was in that meeting on Monday. He would have said stuff that his mouth would have opened up and stuff would have come out that shouldn't have come out. That's the difference. Karen Brady doesn't do things like that. She takes a second to think and she replies professionally, etc. I bet you Karen Brady didn't want Sullivan there because Sullivan's mouth, his gob would have opened as soon as transfer. Well, I tried. All right, okay, right, let's have it then. She said straight away she couldn't talk about transfers. The only thing she's not responsible for at West Ham United is transfers. She's responsible for everything else. We mentioned that part of the reason that fans are pissed off is because of transfers, though. So we needed to discuss it, and we discussed it as much as we could, really. She didn't really defend not spending money. She didn't really have a defence, so she didn't try to. But I don't know. There's a summary on Knees Up Mother Brown by the Pink Palermo. It's a very in-depth write-up as you're going to get. There's going to be an official minutes from West Ham. West Ham are putting it together. They've got until the end of the week. So they've got a few days to put stuff together with proposed changes. It's going to get okayed by the Real West Ham Fans Action Group, and then it's going to go up on the official website and shared among social media. I thought it was a good meeting. I'm not sure. Well, to be fair, straight away, everybody came out and said, is it enough to call off the march? And the answer was no. And unfortunately, there's only one person to blame for that, and that's Mr. Sullivan. He did not turn up to that meeting. And a few people that come out of the meeting said their mind was made up as soon as they seen Mr. Sullivan wasn't there. Well, if he's not going to bother to show, we're marching. I don't think Karen could have done much in that meeting to stop the march. Unfortunately for her, she was on it. It was 1-0 the fans as soon as we went in because of the majority shareholder.
Yeah, I mean it's a strange. So you, I read not the minutes. I read the thing that you said. I can't remember if it was that or I read something else. But somebody said that numerous times during the meeting, it was said to Karen that you would still march anyway. And is that right? Is that right? Have I got that right? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, pretty much. She pretty much got told that in order for the march to not go ahead, there would have to be something monumental from the club to happen. There's nothing monumental being put on the table. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not surprised. We spoke on Wednesday. We spoke about Sullivan going. You know, I said to you, I said he ain't going to turn up. I've been to 2 of these meetings before. I know how it goes. I just know how it goes. I know how it goes. They feed you, water you, make you feel important, answer your questions, say yes to some stuff, but say no to a lot as well. I think that's the other thing that I was quite. Well, I wasn't even surprised. I sort of read it and the Sun column when you know it said in there that you know whatever it was said to give it up, and she just said no, that's my decision. And she sounds like she was at a belligerent best. Actually, to be fair, she knows her stuff. No wonder Sullivan put her up there, because why would he? That's why she's been working for him for all these years. There was no mistake there. He was never going to turn up, was he? That's, you know, you can't claim that the board are lies, and then go in there and say, oh, but Mr. Sullivan hasn't turned up. But oh, you said he was. Well, of course, if you think that they're going to lie all the time anyway, then you've got to expect, I think, consistency from that. I've got to be honest. I think. Well, you know, I said it to you on Wednesday. I think it was a big mistake. Big mistake. Because I just think the hand was played. And I think the hand was played at that point by going and attending that. And I know the argument was there, well, if we don't attend, we could be accused of the club offering to meet with us. But I don't think that's the case. I really don't, because you were there. I take it Nicky and Ryan were there. Graham Howlett was there. If the West Ham fans group is a conglomerate of all groups, they could have easily turned around and say, well, actually, 5 or 6 of us have been in these meetings before, so we know how this goes. I think it would have been better to see the thing is, when I read that transcript from what was Pink Palermo.
The Pink Palermo, yeah.
He wrote it really lovely, but it came across as a Q&A. And I just think when you've got 17,000 fans behind you, you don't have a Q&A. You don't ask questions. You make demands, and you march first. You then make demands. And I just think at that point, almost you showed your hand too early in that sense. And I think she's had a look. I think she looked in the whites of your eyes, and by the sounds of it, she's turned around and said, "Fine, you march." And it's just going to take a big thing to then go again. You know what I mean?
The thing is, I agree why the meeting had to go ahead, because the club put the group in a position of, I wouldn't call it, it was possibly a no-win situation, because if you turn down the meeting, we'll tell everybody we offered to meet with you and you've turned it down. So you're marching and not willing to chat. So what you want to know, you're marching for dialogue with the club. Well, we've offered it to you, but you've rejected it. So what are you marching for? But So I do agree with having to go. There was only a few people. To be honest, I didn't even know half the people in the meeting. They wouldn't have known me. That meeting was, compared to the ones we've been to, this one was a lot more raw, off the cuff, intense. There's a few things that's it's not my place to say. It's a real West Ham fans group thing. It's not my place to say. There's a couple of things that's going to come out. Well, one thing that has come out, the season ticket prices are being frozen for next season, for example. While a lot of people think, oh, they had to do that, but it's small. But please remember, the march is still going ahead. The group have said that's not enough. We need more. And there's a couple of other things. And it's up to Andy and Mickey to put it out. I'm not going to put it out. The Pink Palermo hasn't put it out. The club are, it's one of the things the club have to go away and come back at and say, yes, we're doing that. But even if they do it, as far as I'm aware, it's not enough to stop the march. And I think it was 1-0 the fans, really, after that meeting, because it was, he might have wrote it like a Q&A. I would call it more of an argument. There was a couple of times I thought she was on the ropes a little bit, and I've not seen her like that before. Before, she's always been quite organised, and but a few times during this meeting, I thought, bloody hell, we've got her here. And the first one was the Sun column. That was the one when everybody went in on her, and it was almost, it was intense because she was trying to defend it and say, no, what I do doesn't affect West Ham. She got examples given to her. And I don't know if maybe the penny dropped and she thought, actually, hang on, now I'm seeing it from their point of view. Maybe it does actually affect. I don't know. It felt a little bit different. I felt we had to go to the meeting. I wasn't sure if I spoke to you. I think it was Thursday I spoke to you about the meeting.
Wednesday or Thursday. I said Wednesday. It might be Thursday.
It wasn't until Friday I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to this. I spoke to Andy on the phone on Friday and I decided I'm going to this meeting. And I didn't even know who was going to the meeting until I turned up before the meeting. We met up before the meeting and turned up and seen people. I still don't even know some of the people that was in the meeting. You know, introduced ourselves quickly and briefly, and that was it. But everyone in the meeting did well. Everyone in the meeting did their groups proud. I think the first time I've seen Ben, the first time I've ever met Ben, he's a
nice lad. He is a nice lad.
Yeah, but even he was, I think he was a bit taken back with a few things as well. You know, he was a bit, what the hell, what's going on here? You know,
to be fair to him, he's been propelled. He was at MK Dons before. He wasn't even a top media guy at MK Dons. Max has left, and he's been propelled into a position that he probably never expected, into a position of media, a club at war, where the club is at war with the fans. I feel for him, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, but Ben's been at West Ham for 17 years, though. Ben is. Yeah, Ben Illingworth.
I mean the redhead. Oh, sorry, I thought you meant redhead. But sorry.
No, he was in the corner typing.
Oh, sorry. Beg your pardon. Sorry.
I can't remember his job title. It's basically match the operations manager or whatever. He oversees all the stewarding and that.
Okay.
And it was him that took all the questions for the stewarding and searches, etc. And I think he was a bit, you know, bloody hell. These guys have all got issues here. There was lots of examples given to him, and he tried to defend it. And the three of them, I can't credit the three of them enough, and respect them for putting themselves in there, because it would have been easy. 4.5 hours they sat there getting battered, if you like, by West Ham fan sites with complaints. I've seen people say, oh, you should have said this, you should have said that. Most of the stuff did get said. It's just that it's not in Pink Palermo's write-up, and it's hard to remember everything that's said in 4.5 hours. You know, it was made clear and simple to them. We give West Ham United our money. We don't give the LLDC money. We don't give E20 the money. We give it to West Ham United. So if stewarding's not right, if the ground's not right, it's not fit for purpose, that comes down to West Ham United. It does not come down to it does come down to LLDC according to them. That's fine, but we don't pay them. We pay you, West Ham United. You fix it. And there was the very end. It was near the end. For people, a lot of people you've seen as well. People say, "Oh, the club don't care. They don't care about this." Well, one, why would they call a meeting if they don't care? Two, they've already made a few changes, such as a programme against Watford had all the old crests on it all of a sudden, which was one of the things. And three, Karen Beatty, to quote her, and Pink Palermo's quoted her, Karen Beatty said the march would be a disaster for West Ham United. They're keen to stop this march. I got that vibe anyway, and I don't think this is the end of the dialogue between the two. But it might be. We might end up marching in 2.5 weeks. We don't know. Time will tell. But there will be something coming out on the official website supposed to be by the end of this week, which will be a bit more conclusive and give fans insight. But
one thing I mean, because obviously I was waiting around like everybody else. Do you know what I mean? We didn't speak on the day, so I was waiting for this to filter through. So it was sort of, you know, looking at it, and I guess if I was looking at it like this, other people would have been as well. And I was looking at it, and then when I read the thing came out, and it was all the things, and you know, it talk was about you know, as I said, there's the Sun column and ticketing, and there was a thing about Jim White, and it was all so convoluted, and the fact you've been in there for 4 hours as well. I've got to be honest with you, I looked at it and I thought I felt like the message had been lost, because I thought 5 bullet points at the start was a few too many, right? A few too many. And I sort of, and I just feel with all this, as I say, from the outside looking in, I would almost like it to come together and there be, it's also vague. I did a video before on the boats, the debate, which I got to apologise for, because it wasn't a debate, because I should have had somebody who I did respect, I do respect a lot, pointed out to me, and he said, Chris, that wasn't a debate, mate. He said you all had the same opinion, and he was absolutely right. There should have been somebody there with a difference of opinion. We all basically all agreed. We all wanted the board to go, and anyway. But what I said was, I thought the march was a cry for a voice for a lot of people. I thought it was a chance, the march, for people to display their dissatisfaction with their own personal grievance. Right? For you, it might be one thing. For Joe Blogs, it might be another. For me, it might be something else. And for me, all this stuff came out, and I thought, actually, what is the purpose? What is the focus? And I just sort of saw the lack of a coherent message. And I don't know if that's because everyone is involved and everyone's having their say, and it should sort of just go back to almost, you know, a benevolent dictator saying, right, we want this, 3 points, that's it. If we don't get it, this is what happens. I just think it gets sidetracked so much that initially, when I thought, I didn't think the march was about most of the stuff that was on that list, if I may say. I just didn't think it was bold and punchy enough. It seemed a little bit diluted, and that was just from my opinion, looking at it from the outside and looking in.
But you just answered your own question there, in my opinion, because you've said everybody's got their own reasons, right, for the march. And I think what we've tried to do is take what we believe is the general consensus of opinions as to why they're going on the march and bring it into the meeting and try and represent Bob, Peter and Paul, if you like, in the meeting, and say, because there are some things I, myself and other people in the room are probably arguing about that it might not personally affect me. Like stewarding doesn't affect me anymore. I've got no issues with the stewarding on a personal level. I've not had any trouble. But I know other people have. I know that people in 114 were having a nightmare with stewarding against the Watford game. So the thing is, they got 5 quick. The very first, as soon as this group was made, 3 months ago now, the club got their 5 points that were quick and snappy to fix. And they've done a couple of them, the Memorial Garden, for instance. But now it's a case of, the problem is they're never going to please everybody. This is just a personal opinion. This isn't that's just my personal opinion. They're never going to please everybody, because when this meeting come about, some people are saying, don't go. And some people are saying, you have to go. And some people are saying, go, but if Sullivan's not there, walk out. And everybody was putting in, how do you possibly keep everybody happy? It's impossible. You can't. So they've just, I guess you've just got to do what they think is best, etc.
Well, I think that's where it's not clear. I just think they have tried to please everybody rather than go bang, bang, bang. It's this, that, or the other. And I just, yeah, it just, as I say, it was just all got really, really vague. And I rather than,
this is just, again, my own, this isn't their thing. This is my personal opinion. That is, if you're unhappy and you want change, to me, the march is for you, because the march is to show how many people are unhappy and want change. Now, change, to me, you and everyone else, is different. Some people want the board gone. Some people want the stadium changed. Some people want the transfers looked at differently. But if you want change, that's your chance. And as someone said, we should the slogan, if you like, should be called "We want our West Ham United back." And I think that covers majorities of people. Does it cover transfers? Because if anything, this transfers have always been a little bit like this, even at Upton Park. So it's all subjective. But I know what you're saying. But there is 2.5 weeks for them to
Yeah, I would if I had, you know, I'm not asking, I don't want anything to do with it, but I would be tightening that up. And what you said about a slogan, I think they need one. I don't think that one don't do it for me, to be perfectly honest, because it's gone. So we have moved, and there's no getting that back, because the board can just turn around and go, well, we've already moved and we've already done it.
But want Upton Park back, so we want West Ham United back.
No, but that slogan, it can be construed that I just think it needs a bit of precision, and that's it. Just got a bit vague, and I do think in those couple of weeks they really need to tighten things up and make it really clear. Really clear what's going on. As I say, I just thought it was weakened slightly by going. I'd have gone in afterwards, and I'd have said, do you know what? We've just marched. You've seen this. If you don't want people walking out the ground, if you don't want black balloons, if you don't want this work, then you have to do A, B, and C, and we want it done by there. Because you look at, I'm no lefty, but you look at the left and the unions. They make demands, they protest, and then they invite people in for negotiations. And I just think it lost. Just personally, I just think it lost its way a little bit. And I think I think it just needs to be brought back on track with a little bit of just some concise.
Well, they are working hard in the back. I mean, they've had meetings with the police, etc. They'll put it out on their social media. We'll promote it on Hammers Chat, etc. Stuff about the route and that. So they've got 2.5 weeks. Me and Gonzo will be doing videos, etc., to keep you up to date and give you our opinions on it. We're ready to do questions. Get them in. So we've still got 20 minutes. So 20 minutes worth of questions. I've got a few on social media, but ping the questions in on the YouTube live chat. The Manchester United game has been moved, so we were going to have 21 days without a match, 3 weeks without a match. However, we do have a match now. We're playing Dagenham and Redbridge in a friendly to raise much-needed funds, with all proceeds going to the Skint Club. Sullivan and Gold are very grateful to Dagenham and Redbridge for that. Blair Turgott has been found guilty of fraud after he nicked 16 grand, I think, and went into a casino and come out with £16,900. So he did all right.
He's had a win. He's had a result, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping he went to Asper's Casino. It turns out he didn't, but I was hoping, Asper's Casino is a good one. But they don't take fraud, though. Just be clear.
Or any other crime.
Yeah. Right. Twitter questions. At Tony Close says, what needs to be done to the London Stadium, in your opinion, to make it more...
Tony, it'd be one of my things. As what I'll just go over here. Move the seats closer. Square them off. Don't care. Looked at that Luzhniki Stadium today. Forget the roof. I think as Geo has mentioned in the week, the fans are getting wet anyway. We're earning 150 million a year. Even if it costs 100 million to move those seats closer, do it. Pay it over 10 years. Do it. That's the one thing I'd do on that stadium. That'd be my number one point.
Do you know something? This is a bit strange. While that's one of them, the other thing that I would do that can be done is put some walls in. I only noticed this season somehow that above the turnstiles and that, it's not even wall, it's like whiter. And I thought, no wonder the concourse is freezing and then there's literally wind blowing around the concourse. I thought, put some walls in, try and make it a little bit weatherproof, and people might enjoy their experience before halftime and after the game a little bit more. You want people to come in early. Well, I'm not coming in when there's literally wind going circling that concourse. Which put some walls in. It's quite simple, but to be honest, it's the whole close to the pitch thing. You can't do that. At least put a carpet in around the pitch and for the time being, etc. And listen to fans. Try and get not just the real West Ham fans group, but do polls on your website or something as to what can be done at the London Stadium. Try and make people happy. There's lots of ways, but it all costs money, and the problem is it's all this red tape with the LLDC and stuff. It's restricted. We found out in the meeting from Canberra, well, it was from Ben Illingworth, they've got a flag. They can't even put a flag up. There's one particular flag. It's a Mark Noble flag. It can't even go up because of all this red tape. It's ridiculous. We can't even hang up a flag in our own ground. Well, say our own ground. But Lynn says, do you think Ginge will get a new deal?
Hello, Lynn. Hello. She watches a lot, Lynn. She watches all that stuff. And I did see your message on Twitter. Yes, I do.
See, it obviously depends on David Moyes staying in that. And he's featuring under Moyes. I can't see why he wouldn't get one. But it does make you think, is David Moyes wanting a centre-back? Because if David Moyes wants a new centre-back in summer, one of them needs to be moved on. That's my only thing. Dean Marr says, who would you get to replace Joe Hart? Do we need to get a new number 1 or do we get a backup?
I think probably a backup on that one. I think Adriana's done. He's done enough to be our number 1, and also I think he's had his nose put out of joint on 2 occasions with Randolph, and then Joe Hart coming in. I think he deserves, maybe a new deal and to be our number 1. I've seen Nathan Trott play live though. He's really, really good. I mean, he's really good. So I think at 17 or whatever, he's probably a bit young to be contesting the first team. But anyone I'd be looking to bring someone in for a couple of years or something, because that boy is very good.
It depends on the budget, though. If David Moyes has got a big budget, then he can afford to go spend $8 million on a keeper, and it's not going to really impact the rest of it. Then I would go get someone who is maybe, this one we got linked with at Man United on loan at Villa. I don't know him, Johnston. I don't know him, right? But he's held in high regard. He's young. He's been playing a lot of first team football this season. Someone like that would be good to get in, put him on the bench, and in a couple of seasons, essentially, should be our number 1. But I know what you say about Trott. So if that's the case, go for someone. There's always good free keepers in the summer. Always, always, always. It's a rule in football. There's always a good free keeper. Usually they're 35 years old, but they'll do for a season or 2. Just go with that, save your budget, and concentrate on Trott. Dean Felton 8 says, can West Ham become a success in our lifetime?
Oh, Dean, that's the question, isn't it? Are West Ham going to win something before I snuff it, basically? It depends what success is, Dean. For me, it will be winning a cup. Yes. We can, we will, and we must.
Of course we can. To me, winning a cup, to me, yeah, you're right. That's a success to me. I don't even think we need any investment in order to go and do that. If you really wanted to, if Moyes really wanted to win the FA Cup next season or the League Cup, he could. It will mean sacrificing a few points in the league, probably, because you have to rest a couple of players. But if he takes it seriously, then we are capable of beating anyone on our day, anyone in that league. We almost did it at the Etihad against Man City. It was the last 10 minutes we lost it. It can be done. But the problem is, what's the ambition of the football club? Is it to win trophies or is it to stay in the Premier League? And unfortunately, I think it's the latter. That's the problem there. At Malcolm R. Brown 53 says, could you see yourself not renewing your season ticket due to being unhappy with the owners?
Yes, Malcolm. Yeah, I thought about it 2 days ago, actually. It's not just the owners, it's the whole lot. It's the whole lot. I've got to say, there's been so little football. It's become so... Geo will tell you this. It's one thing I hate about West Ham. It's West Ham politics. It's not just this. It's the board. It's the fans as well. It's bloggers' politics, believe it or not. It's just so much, and I just hate it. And I did actually 2 days ago. I did give serious consideration to not doing it. But then I get the bug again, and we all get the bug, don't we? And you just think, actually, I just want to see the team play. And you hear Lanzini's back, and you think, hello. That might be good. Lanzini and Arnautovic together, are they going to play either Chicharito? And that's what keeps us coming back, and that's what the board want. That's what the board know, by the way. They know we'll keep coming back. As somebody, I think it was Whiskey on the forum, said we're not customers. Someone made a comparison about customers walking out, and he said, but if you don't like Tesco, you just get a Sainsbury's down the road. You can't do that at West Ham, any football club, of course. So they're stuck with me, I'm stuck with them, and we're all stuck with each other.
Nah, the owners will never keep me away. It doesn't matter who the owner is. If I was ever to give it up, the thing that would make me give it up is Sky Sports. Football is becoming more and more difficult to get to. It's getting to the point now that if you look back at come the end of the season, if I look back at this season, at how many games I've not been able to attend at home because of TV, it's almost half. Like the Man U game, for example, I know it's not TV, it's because of the FA Cup, right? It's now a midweek game at the end of April or the start of May. It's one of the two. I can't get to that. So that means I've missed the Man U game. I had to miss the Spurs one. That was my own fault, though. I had something on. But last season I missed it because I got moved to the Friday night, I think. There's all these games that can move to Friday and Monday, etc. It just makes it difficult. For me, unfortunately, and that's my biggest issue. It's not the owners, bloody Sky Sports. At Josh Wilkie 93 says, will Sullivan step back or is it a ploy? Now, you see, do you know what I actually say here? In that statement, he never actually said he's going to step back. He did not say he's going to get someone else to negotiate the deals. He just said we're going to get a new scouting thing, which is all very good. But the problem is, once you've identified the players using the new scouting thing, it's the same bugger trying to negotiate the deal. I was trying to negotiate the last window and the window before that.
I just don't think he can. Sorry, who asked the question?
Josh,
I don't think he can, Josh. I don't think it's physically possible. He might want to. He might know it's best. Maybe even Karen Brady might say to him, you need to take a bit of a step back. Maybe David was. But can he? Can he actually resist? I don't think he can. He's been too hands-on in all these businesses for far too long. I don't know. I don't think so.
I think he thinks he's good at it. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. I do genuinely think he's good at it. He'll probably look back at Payet and think, wow, how amazing was that? I managed to get him for 11 million. Yeah, you did, but since then, what have you...
I think you're right. I think he probably does really fancy himself.
Yeah, I do. I genuinely think, David, you can tell he does. We sign a decent player. He puts up a statement on the official website, patting himself on the back. Joe Hart's the best keeper I've ever signed. So, and what are you wanting? That's your job. It's your job. What do you expect us all to do? David Moyes putting up a statement going, I got 3 points against Watford. Yes, David, that's your job. Well done. Move on to the next one.
I'll fix the toilet.
Right, @ MT Brown. Who will we try to sell in the summer?
Ooh.
Let's assume David Moyes is still here and staying.
I'll give you one. Kyle Antonio.
Do you think so?
I think it's a good guess. Listen, I could be boring and say Winston Reid will be off and all the rest of it. But they don't want boring. They won't say interested. Does he fancy Antonio? That's the question. If he can get 25, 30 million for Antonio and David Moyes is in charge of all transfers, will he think, actually, I might have him out of it, particularly if the behind the scenes rumours are true.
I'll say, I think Byram's going. If this link to this Fulham right back, which we haven't discussed, but there's a strong link to this Fulham right back because he's out of contract. But if that's happening, then surely Byram's time's up because Zabaleta's still got a year to go. So you don't need 3 right backs. The other one I'll say, I'm going to say Obiang. I think if we really want a centre midfield, I don't know if you can have Obiang, Noble, Kiati, and another centre midfielder at West Ham without you being football. I don't know. You need 4 senior centre midfielders, especially when you've got Fernandez that can play there. You can drop in Lanzini if you want to. You've got Rice that can step into there. Zabaleta, if you needed to, can step in there.
I think yours are more likely than mine, but mine's more juicy and sort of tabloidy.
I can see why you would sell Antonio. He would command a big fee. He doesn't fit in. Arnautovic and Hernandez have got. You see, this is what I put out on Twitter the other week. Antonio got an assist against Watford. That's his 6th goal he's contributed to from a wing back position. 3 goals and 3 assists in 10 games. As a striker, 12 games, he's contributed 1 goal. He's actually more effective as a wing back. The problem is you don't want to play there. That's his problem. It's a bit like Kiati for me. Kiati, your best position centre back, but he doesn't want to play there. He wants to play centre midfield. But Obiang's my one. Flight on YouTube says, right, Andy, this is partly news, I suppose. That is come out. Andy Carroll's back for the last 2 games of the season now. Firstly, I don't know how you can predict someone's going to be fit in 2.5 to 3 months' time that accurately, especially when it's Andy Carroll. But let's put that to one side. What do you think we should do with him? Would you play him? Would you keep him fit and sell him in the summer? Or would you keep him fit for next season? What?
There is no way I would play him. If that was the case and he's had all this time out and it's the last 2 games of the season, there's just no way I would play him because other people are doing the business. Hernandez is scoring goals and Arnautovic is playing like Ronaldo at the moment, really, isn't he? There's just no way. There's no way. He wouldn't get in and he wouldn't deserve to get in.
I think it depends on if we are still playing well, to be fair. If we were somehow in a relegation battle and there was two games left and we needed wins, I would have him on the bench. Assuming Hugo's not come on and done well, etc. I would have him on the bench just in case things got a little bit dirty, especially the last game of the season at home to Everton. That's the type of game you want Andy Carroll to get on there and just get the ball launched up and stick one up to Allardyce or secure a move to Everton in the summer if you want. But I think, do you know something? I think to move forward, I think we need to sell him in the summer. Those wages things came out earlier, and like you said, you look at Hernandez and that, but you go down that and you think, well, he's contributing. You get to Carroll and you think, well, time's up, son. I mean, that wages, what I was going to say was, it's so bad when you pick out, this is what you said, Hernandez is on 140 grand a week. That's what like Noble and Ogbonna are combined. I think it's so lopsided. It's unbelievable. What you can get for your 300 grand a week at West Ham is ridiculous. You can have Hernandez and Nervich, or you can have like Ogbonna, Obiang, Noble, Creswell, Adrian, all them. I think it's just... But anyway, back to the questions. Ian says, should David Moyes stay? If you were David Moyes, what would you be doing?
I'd run a mile. I'd run an absolute mile. He's repaired his reputation. As Geo said earlier, we had a deal. I've said this, regular watchers of the show will know. I said when he first came in, we needed his help. He needed our help. All right? If we both do our bit, he's not going to need our help anymore. We'll still be in the Premier League. Why would he work under these conditions? It's a toxic club. Again, you cannot march. You cannot think all this stuff is bad and then think Moyes is going to stay. If we think it's toxic, he's going to think it's toxic. And the shameful thing is he's built up a lovely backroom team now, which are really... we that side of things, we seem quite professional. We might not have the swagger and the style of a Brazilian or whatever, but he's given us some calm waters. But if I was David Moyes and I wasn't a West Ham fan, if I was Mrs. Moyes, I would be saying, wait, come on, off you go.
I would stay, but in all honesty, I'd be milking Sullivan in the summer. I'd say I want a big wage. You know, I was there on the 28th of February. I know how much profit you've made. I want a portion of that. Thank you very much.
I've seen Font's wages.
Yeah, you talk about next level. I am next level. Now give me a next level wage.
Sell Font. I'll sell Font for you and you give me his money.
Yeah, you talk about, you want next level, I want next level wage. Put your money where your mouth is. But that's it. Moyes is in a position of strength. He holds all the cards now. He can do that. You know, he can say, I've been on 10 grand a week for the last season. I've assembled the best backroom staff you've ever seen as a chairman at your football club, etc. I go there. They're coming with me. They're not staying for you. They're here for David Moyes. They're not here for David Sullivan. But I would be staying if I was him because he's got a good set of players. His reputation's been repaired, but his reputation could be enhanced if he stays a little bit longer and achieves a little bit more. And I think he's got it in him, you know. All you have to do is look at his points. Now, I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not a fan of his football. I'm not going to all of a sudden say I really love David Moyes. If he was to walk in summer, I wouldn't be that upset because I don't like his football thus far. And he keeps saying that he wants to play a different way. But in the January transfer window, he didn't buy players to show us how he wants to play. To me, you can't have it both ways. You can't sit there and do that. That's like me saying to you, oh, I want to build something, but I've not got the hammer. And you go, well, here's the hammer. And you go, no, I don't want the hammer. I don't want it. I can't build it. I'm not got the hammer. And you go, well, here is the hammer. I don't want the hammer.
I think that's more knock it down, to be fair.
That's what they do at the when they're putting those seats back after athletics. Here's the hammer. Yeah. How much are we charging for this? 8 million. Brilliant getting. But yeah, I would stay if I was him. Stay and build something. Last couple of questions. Before I get on to them, there's been some people have asked about the Liverpool game. We've got a preview tomorrow night. That's why we're not discussing who should start up front against Liverpool, Lanzini, etc. Because we're just going to be discussing it tomorrow night, so tune in for that one. We've also got a video up on Friday night, the third episode of Hammers Chat Insights, and we'll be taking a look at Yao Mario. And we've also got some more Hammers Chat Insights coming up, which are going to be guest edited visually, so keep your eyes out for that. They're good. But the last couple of questions, and the first one is by someone name I'd not seen before, so you're new to the channel. Hello, welcome, and you better bloody subscribed. And it's Rywist, and it says, what's your centre back pairing for next season?
Oh, Rywist, hello and welcome as well. I take it we're playing 3. So if we are playing 3. Oh, It's going to be Ogbonna. I'm going to put Rice in there. Right, Rice.
Just before you give me that third one, when you're doing this, I don't know, just me, just quickly there. I was thinking maybe David Moyes does need a new centre back next season, actually, because the first two, Ogbonna and Rice, I thought, well, who's the third one? Is it Collins? But he's a year older. Is it Reid? Well, he's been a bit crap this season. Then you got Font, who was good, got injured, and for some reason, David Moyes says he needs game time in the under-23s, although there was 2 games on the under-23s where he didn't put Font in, which didn't make sense, but we'll ignore that. But when you're doing this, you think, well, you basically got to pick one.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I was sort of looking at that myself, thinking about about bringing someone else. But I was still in my mind thinking that we had another one. I mean, we should really be playing Ginge there, but I think you keep Ginge as a squad player, and he comes in because you never play the same 11 every game. But actually, I do think maybe you're right. I do think we need someone else for there. I think it's time to give. He'll be a year older. He'll have a bit more experience. He'll have the benefit. I'm talking about Rice now. He'll have the benefit of pre-season behind him as well. Ogbonna's so good. He's also left-footed, Ogbonna, which I think is a really good thing. So I would be looking for a dom. I think Rice is so good with the ball at his feet. If I was looking for another one, I'll be looking for quite a robust, sort of dominant centre half.
I'll tell you what, we forgot someone, Creswell. He's looked good under Moyes, and maybe the solution is, well, to be fair, Masuaku will be back next season eventually. Maybe the solution is Creswell. That's maybe Creswell's new position. I think he's looked really good there, apart from one game against Bournemouth. However, we'll talk about this tomorrow night because he's up against Mo Salah. Sorry, that's a different kettle of fish to be playing out of position. But last question, before we get on to that, make sure you drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you're new around here. We'll see you tomorrow night for the Liverpool preview. It's from Bob Elliott. I think we're going to get this question every week, mate. Where are we going to finish?
Bob, I think we will finish in 15th position.
I think it'd be a bit higher than that. I think it'll be 12. I'll say 12. I think we're in for a very boring end to the season. We'll pick up enough points to stay away from relegation, but not enough to make a late charge for 7th in a potential European spot. How exciting would that have been? Can you imagine nicking that?
Can you imagine going into that Mickey Mouse Europa thing and playing Astra again? Oh my goodness, I'll be worse than death, honestly. That'd make me give up my season ticket.
We're only 6 points away from it. We play Burnley in 3 weeks, who are ahead of us. So you just never. That's how crazy this season is. There's 10 points between 7 and 17. But anyway, that's enough from us. Like I said, subscribe if you're new around here. Keep your eye out for our video tomorrow night, our video on Friday. We'll have videos on Saturday with the match on against Liverpool. We've got lots of content coming up for you. Thank you for joining us.